I know what you're thinking. This looks like a regular PlayStation controller, but I can assure you it is anything but. Let me explain to you why this controller is so special. What is going on, YouTube? Today I wanted to do something a little different from my regular videos, and that is why I decided to do a review on a controller that I just purchased from Battle Beaver Customs. This is my first review ever, so here we go. I do want to start off by saying that I am not sponsored by either of the companies I'm going to talk about today, so I can promise you that my review is going to be completely honest. This is a custom controller from Battle Beaver Customs, designed to my liking. In the past, I had owned a SCUF, and I loved that SCUF for about a week until it started to break down. I experienced thumbstick drag, the triggers started to not respond as well, and right when I got the controller, there was actually a giant scratch right down the middle of my touchpad, straight out of the box. What I did was I contacted SCUF's customer support, which was very friendly and very helpful, and I sent the controller back in. Unfortunately, all they really did was buff out the scratch in the touchpad. They didn't touch the thumbstick or the triggers or anything, and they sent it back to me and said it was fixed. So really, in the end, I was out $180, and that was overall very frustrating and disappointing. So after the series of unfortunate events with SCUF, I decided to research further into other custom controller companies. I took a look at the Astro C40s, a few other small custom controller companies that I don't even remember the name of, and eventually I stumbled upon Battle Beaver and decided to give them a go. When you get on Battle Beaver's website, you may find that the level of customization is overwhelming, but they do this so that you can customize the controller completely to your liking and your needs, and spend as much or as little money as you want on that controller, and that is absolutely awesome. Therefore, I would like to explain to you the custom options I paid for on my controller and how much it ended up costing me. Number one, as you can see, I paid for the Sony Copper controller, which cost me about $10 extra because I wanted to add a little flair and not just have some plain black or white controller. Number two, I took out the rumbles in the controller handles, which makes the controller overall lighter, and let me tell you, that makes a world of difference when you are playing longer gaming sessions. It makes it easier to hold, and you won't get as tired from holding the controller. I know that sounds silly, but it actually makes a difference. Yes, you lose out on the option of a vibrating controller, but as I said, for me personally, that is not something that I feel the need to have. I have found that a vibrating controller can actually throw me off when playing first-person shooters and makes things a little bit harder to control when your controller's freaking out all the time because there's a bunch of stuff going on. Number three, getting into kind of the bigger differences, are these triggers. These are what Battle Beaver calls the smart triggers, and to me, they sound and feel exactly like a mouse click. Listen. This leads to a much faster response in-game between the controller and the game that you are playing. What this will do is allow you to aim and shoot much quicker than your opponents, which gives you that somewhat of a competitive edge. Number four is probably the most noticeable difference from a SCUF, and that is these back buttons instead of paddles. My buttons are mapped to X and circle, as those are the buttons that I use the most when playing first-person shooters. You can map them to any front-facing button on the controller, or you can pay a little extra and get a remap chip put in the controller. But for my needs, I only needed X and circle. The coolest part about these buttons, in my opinion, is it allows you to grip the controller any way you are most comfortable with, and you won't have to kind of change your grip style like you would with paddles on the back of the controller like I did with the SCUF, and I absolutely love that option. Finally, the last custom option that I chose on this controller was to increase the thumbstick tension of the right thumbstick. The right thumbstick is the one that you use most frequently for aiming in game, and what this does for you is it allows you to be more precise with your shots and not accidentally over aim because the thumbstick moves too fast. As you can see, the left one is pretty easy to move and the right one is actually a little bit harder to move, making it so you are more precise with those shots. Now, I got all of this for around $150, which is $20 cheaper than SCUF's starting price for the Infinity 4PS. And I must say, the overall build quality of this controller is a lot better than the SCUF Infinity 4PS. Now, obviously, time will tell how this controller holds up, but first impressions, I'm more impressed with what Battle Beaver has done with their controller compared to the SCUF Infinity 4PS. Not having a scratch down the touchpad obviously helps. Again, that is fully customized for around $150. Now, can you spend more at Battle Beaver Customs? Of course. Like I said in the beginning, everything is completely customizable. But for my needs and my liking, I only had to spend $150 and I got exactly what I wanted in a controller. Now, the best part about it is I got this controller and it looks and feels exactly like the regular DualShock 4 with the exception of the rumbles. And I love that classic feeling of the great controller that Sony has produced. I can say with absolute confidence that Battle Beaver beats SCUF in the custom controller game due to the build quality, level of customization that they offer, and starting price of the controller. One last thing I want to touch on with Battle Beaver is patience. Battle Beaver is a smaller company than SCUF, and due to the amount of customization and the actual taking the time to make the controller perfect, it does take them a little bit longer to get that controller built and out to you. It does say on the website that the overall build time for each controller is 2 months, but once it actually shipped, it was here in 2 days. It did take about 2 months for them to build the controller, but let me tell you, it was absolutely worth the wait. Quality takes time and patience. Overall, I cannot praise Battle Beaver enough for this controller, and I'm super stoked to play more with it, especially when Modern Warfare releases later this month. Well, guys and gals, that is going to wrap it up for my first review video ever. I hope you guys enjoyed the content, and if you did, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate it as it helps us grow. As always, thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next vid. Bye-bye.